Thanks for listening. Joining us for today's update here on Elko Live. We're going to get an update in Elko County news from our Elko County Commission Chairman, John Karr. And appreciate your time, John. And, I was just going to say, I like hearing Paul Gardner's voice announcing, the show here. Not a lot of people know, but by now most people should know that Paul Gardner of Elko Broadcasting Company family fame is general manager of some radio stations in Hawaii. So he's out basking in the sunshine, playing golf, doing all kinds of cool things. But that's kind of cool, isn't it, John?
Oh, actually good for him.
I know.
I'd rather throw a thing out like good riddance, Paul, and go sink yourself in the ocean, but he's a dear friend, so I can't say that.
You can say that in good humor, yes.
Yes, but no, I kind of miss the guy, and he's always had a great radio voice. Tyler, his nephew. Mm-hmm. So it's still in the old Gardner family. So.
Yes, and it's important to mention that because we need to take care of ourselves, with a lot of stuff that we're seeing happen nationwide, John, and so it's nice to know that we have our trust and confidence and appreciation for any locally owned businesses. I mean, and you're in that same category. So with that, we can kind of recap some highlights from the County Commission meeting on Wednesday. A couple of the big items I think were tabled, so that's important to go over. But first of all, what can you tell us about the South Railroad project? I think Jamie was able to make a great presentation on what's happening. This is big because it's a mine in Elko County.
It's kind of south of the Rain Mine, the Carlin Rain Mine, and encompasses part of the Rain Mine, if I'm totally remembering the map. No, I hope they proceed, and some revenue coming in would be obviously a nice thing for Elko County. According to the state, sales tax revenue are down anywhere from 10 to 15%. I've heard numbers range because I've also heard we've talked about it before on the show that their calculation or their program has changed. So how much they still have flaws in the new computer system or no? We are down. Personally in my restaurants, I'm down for this 6 months versus last year at this time. So it's true. Elko, I believe, is down. I just don't know how much.
It's a city, a county problem. It's across rural Nevada, and it is affecting, of course, our urban centers as well. So we don't know where the money's going, right, John?
Well, once again, we're not in a recession nationally. Boy, if you watch the news, it depends, I guess, what station you listen to. But anyway, we're not in a recession, but it's definitely not, in my even gut feeling, booming. So I don't know quite what's going on. I hate to say uncertainty, but maybe that's the proper term of what's going on.
I think uncertainty is fair. And so in the meantime, do the things that we do. Support local businesses, shop locally, dine at restaurants, when friends come from out of town. I mean, take them to places that that they'll appreciate. This is going to become more important than ever, John. And, I don't know if your business is relying on things like tariffs, but, we do know the cost of beef is probably going to get pretty steep here.
I don't know of anything I import other than like avocados and kind of obvious things. I'd hate to think that I'm getting eggs or something from Brazil or something. I almost positively don't. It's a catch-22. I'm kind of slightly excited to see Brazilian beef kind of getting a reality check. I guess a little bit of me is a global environmentalist that I don't like to see the rainforest destroyed. So they're putting cows down there because of our poor decision making on the national level to have cows on our ranges. If it's managed right, our range land is perfect for. Used to be buffalo, not necessarily in Elko County, but the area was designed for the hoof grazers, and they're managed properly. The environment around here does better. I truly believe in the last 300-400 years, every study I've read, that the ranchers coming in with the cows have add more water because how they manage it and the creeks and the meadows and everything, that you get more deer, more elk, more everything, and along with the cows. But my point being, I hope that reality, so we quit saving wild horses that aren't wild. They're not extinct by any stretch of the imagination, and we can go back to proper management and have cows where they should be. How we've victimized, or not victimized, how we've made the rancher this evil, I don't know, the Darth Vader of the world, of these poor ranchers out having cattle out on the range when they're managed properly is better. I'm just floored by that.
Well, and I would hope that the ranching community would feel supported locally, John, but this thing with the Brazilian beef could be really a boon to local ranching, but the reality is we have to bust up the meat packing monopolies because we have not been able to make local decisions about selling beef and producing beef and, impressing the cattle market in a certain way. Sure, it's terrible to compete with the import. So hopefully this will be good news. But the reality is we also have to unlock the problem with the meat packing monopolies.
Normally I kind of rebuttal you on big corporations, but in this case, no, I believe you're right. They do. How much they manipulate, I have no clue. But no, it is 2 or 3 big players, and they pretty much control everything. So in this case, you're probably right. I was just asking about out at the rail port. We were looking at a meat cutting, meat processing, butcher shop, whatever you want to call it. Not a butcher shop, but
a meat processing plant.
Correct.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I've heard nothing since. So I was just talking to Curtis, our assistant county manager. Go, wait, let's go dive in that again. Where are they at with that? What's stalling? Is it did they change their mind? Is it a regulation problem? Where are we at with that? So maybe we can still make that happen.
And then looping back, I know we kind of went off on a tangent, but...
We're winging it today. It's Friday. It's not our norm. So there you go.
And it's fine. It's fine. But the Orla mining, with the permitting process, we're seeing that this administration is really bullish on projects like this, and these permits are coming through quickly. Solidus, I think, is the name of the other mine near Lovelock. That was permitted. I think it had been in process for 5 years. Any indication at the meeting that this one could get the stamp here soon?
It sounds like it, and I certainly hope so. There's nothing very complicated about this mine site they're looking at, so it really shouldn't be that big a deal.
So again, it's important. It would generate important resources in Elko County, which means we would retain the net proceeds, which that's so important right now. As John was talking about, the reality is our sales are down, and our local governments, but our local economies and the communities rely on sales and use tax, on tourism, on the buying power of people who are largely employed in mining, and they have a lot of disposable income.
You're absolutely right. I don't know how many of my friends I've talked rather vocally to. I don't mind if you go buy an RV, a side-by-side, a truck, or whatever out of town, but first shop. If fine, you get a better deal and it's not even close and whatever, fine. But your first step should at least be the local places and see if they can compete. Give them a chance. Yeah,
definitely. And if you do get that out-of-town price, take it to the dealership because that's information for them. That's something they didn't know. So they're more likely to deal with you when you bring
I'm
them.
hoping so.
Yeah, I mean,
I've never bought any of that stuff out of town. I bought some furniture a couple times, but other than that, no. I've always bought locally.
John Karr is our Elko County Commission Chair. Again, just kind of talking about the general state of the economy. I had Billy Crapo in yesterday. She's always really positive about the support that we get and the help that the networking can provide, especially for small businesses, John, because we know that that's really the backbone of what is produced here and locally as far as even events or activities. In addition to services, goods and services, we have to import a lot of what we generate. That's what we're waiting for, is to see how those tariffs might impact small businesses. I know you do food.
I do food, but the tariffs are always interesting. I've heard huge gloom, and then depends on who you talk to.
It does. Yeah.
Now it's raising a ton of money for the government at the moment, and inflation's actually less than 3%.
Well, and you're right. So, and if the government, if we save money individually or as the state, great. I think people will say, okay, this was right all along. Honestly,
some rational people won't. There's the no matter what. Mark Cuban even said it. The sky's blue. Trump said the sky's blue. That's it. I hate Trump. It's not blue. Well, it is blue. What? I still hate Trump anyway, really? So we'll see if this works out, but you're always going to get a bias either way, good and bad.
And Elko County has its own strange bubble because we are isolated geographically, sheer location. And then we also have this major economy of gold mining, which it really, gold is still above $3,000 an ounce, John?
It is. And NGM is doing fairly well, but I don't get the feeling they're really expanding or booming's the wrong word, but really, hey, we just found this another new great deposit. They just seem to be producing what they're producing, which is fantastic. We're not losing anything, but they're not really gaining though either.
Well, and Nevada gold mines, they're huge. I mean, what they do here, the richest gold reserves, in North America, but they're worldwide. So they have a lot going on around the world.
They do,
Yeah.
but I get the feeling more by Winnemucca is really their boom at the moment. I don't have proof on that, but the Turquoise Ridge area seems to be their now big deposit, but I haven't heard much around here. They're still finding more, but once again, not our quote second mother lode or third mother lode or whatever.
So we'll stay tuned more on that, certainly. But it is a healthy environment. Looking at the transportation of the miners in the future with the bankruptcy and then closure of Coach USA, I think that there's another company ready to step in September. So that's good news.
I've been trying to research that. I get the feeling that NGM had already looked at a different company anyway, so I don't have the facts on that.
Right.
I do laugh that I pull up the Free Press and it's got big advertising for Coach USA, we're here to stay, and everything else, and you're reading the newspaper underneath the advertisement. That's a little bit contrary to that, but
that's
whatever.
Conflicting, right? So hopefully, if Coach is morphing, because we also did hear disturbing news Monday that. Maverick, casinos. Well, I guess not the casino, but the corporate holding of the Maverick and the rural Nevada properties, in bankruptcy. That's never good news. We wish that they would invest more in their local properties. They're looking a little dismal.
I don't know how much is poor management, and I truly mean that. I like working with the big dogs in the area, but I don't know how that, or we've just had a fundamental shift in the generations younger than us on their gambling habits, so the income's not there. I don't really know the whole extent of what's going on there.
Yeah, we have a big hiccup. You're right, especially in the state where we've been dependent, at least in the South, on tourism and entertainment. We haven't really had that in Elko County, for some time, where, people are going into casinos and gambling the way they used to, or looking for entertainment there. So they're gambling online. That's happening a lot.
Yes, we've had other states have opened up gambling, Indian resorts, and they call them that. That's not my name. That's what they call them. So between them more accessible, and then the city, and back in those years when they Casino Express and them kind of got in their headbutting thing, and Casino Express left. So Elko and its gaming just is not as high as it used to be.
So hopefully we can come up with some answers for the future. Also on the agenda during Wednesday's meeting, what was the update on the LS Power Southwest Intertie project to the north? I'm assuming that's going well.
Well, so NV Energy the more I've learned about it, they did some rate hikes to be able to put that new power transmission line in from Vegas up to Ely and then kind of across over to Reno. That area, and I think that's part of the reason Doug, their CEO, got let go. Once again, don't quote me on that, but that's a little bit I know about it. This is a different company hoping to expand from that Ely all the way up into that Boise, Idaho Valley substation up there. I think it'd be huge, and I'm hoping it proceeds. I don't know the stumbling blocks that this is a 10% chance of happening, or this is a 90% this is happening. I honestly don't know. I'm glad they came and presented and showed us that plan, and I hope it proceeds, and we're going to do everything we can. All of the United States is underpowered. I don't know if the general public knows that, and we keep thinking Nevada's fine too. No, we're there. We're right
vulnerable, right?
We're right at the cusp. If TS Power Plant suddenly had a really big hiccup, we'd be shocked how much of that is really the producer at the moment.
So the county did issue a letter of support, right?
Yes. So
okay.
I 100% even personally hope this goes through. I think it's a big deal. Power is a problem, and the United States for years has been very backwards on producing power. We hoped and dreamed of solar and wind, which I'm for if we can do it, but here's where we're at, and it can't do it. It can't keep up.
So then if we're moving along the agenda, there was an item about food service at the jail that's been tabled. So just for folks' benefit. And then, we don't talk a lot about Elko County juvenile detention and probation, John, and they appear regularly on the agenda for updates. And the reason we don't really talk about them is I think it's fair to say that they're pretty successful, right, in their mission.
I I think Heather does a great job. I really, even if I wanted to sit here and criticize her performance, I can't name something to criticize her about. So no, I think her and her staff do a great job working with the school district and working with those. I don't know. As she said, that it's trending down. She doesn't have concrete reason why.
You mean juvenile crime?
Correct.
Right. That's a good thing.
Yeah, obviously it's a great thing. And unless they're too lazy on gaming that they don't even want to go do anything wrong because they're so lazy on the couch, they're just gaming. I don't know. But obviously that's a silly speculation. But either way, it's down and they do a great job. And so we'll keep that going.
And I think, too, this team in particular, from what I understand and with their presentations, they really do try to focus on root issues. So if juvenile crime is on the rise, they're looking for, do we have problems with drugs? Are there problems with juveniles who are homeless? I mean, because that happens a lot, too. So this juvenile detention probation team does seem to focus on prevention and outreach and getting help for students who, because a lot of these, they are students. They are still either adolescents or teenagers, and they need guidance.
Correct.
So the Elko County Ambulance Service, that they had a few agenda items to purchase some things, and anything that came out of that, John?
No, that's pretty mild. It's heart monitoring stuff, put on the ambulance, grants for those kind of things. We're still, I wouldn't say actively looking, but we are keeping our eyes open for a new property to try to move the facility. As I think I've said on here before, I hate right by the high school. You don't want them trying to run out of there and lights and sirens at the same time.
It's hard to believe we've been there the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As kids are trying to get out of school. So I just do not like it there. I think it's a terrible location, and I hate our ambulances out and not protected in heated, cooled, atmosphere control areas.
So do you think, John, there's an opportunity for a conversation, say, with the city? Because I know with the fire department, they've scoped out a new site. I don't know if it's certainly big enough to, but I think taxpayers like the idea of co-locating services whenever possible.
I haven't worked with the staff themselves, but I know Matt Peterson and JJ have talked, and the ambulance itself. So they're talking, but no, myself and the mayor or Jan or anybody haven't had that conversation, no.
Well, I think it's important because you're right. Those are the emergency officials. They're the ones that best understand response times and, critical locations. So, but it's always helpful for people to know that is a possibility, because one of our really successful, and I think you might have been on the school board at the time, John, was when Great Basin College and the Elko County School District paired on the High Tech Center at GBC. I mean, that's one of the most used buildings consistently for that type. But I guess you weren't on the school board when they built that building. So, and it's a co-located project.
Right. I'm trying to remember on. I don't.
It's right across from Burns.
No, I know.
Yeah.
As for the most used, I don't know if you've been in there lately. Every time I'd go in there, the whole middle part, I'd see nobody.
Well, the middle part might be tough. Yeah, it's a big space. I go in there every morning, just so you know. But
so yes, morning, or that middle part, excuse me, I'm like, could we find something better to use for this? Because nobody is using it. It's a huge space. But the outlying little rooms and everything else, no, are being used.
And I think, too, just the emphasis on that it's a project that benefits both, high school students and college students. So
that is still something I don't know if it's ever feasible, but I wish we'd work on that. So Spring Creek, even though it'd have to be bused or something, more of a central thing that college, high school, both of them could be using, welding, wood shop. It doesn't seem to be either one can really truly support, but yet maybe together and busing. I don't know how you do it, but it'd sure be nice to see thriving projects like that.
Yeah, agreed. Spring Creek High School does need more services. I'm always going to say, and whether or not you and I would agree personally, but I think every school campus should have some sort of performing arts facility because it encourages the arts, but it also encourages community on campus because they have meeting spaces and they can invite the community in. But you're right. I wish that we could have more co-located or combined collaborative services, of our college. And maybe that could be a future. We just got to add money, right?
It's still also the desire. It's tough to go, all right, Fridays are now off, but if you want to do welding, then no, we're going to have a central welding shop at Great Basin College, and high school kids can sign up for that or something.
And they can go Fridays because the colleges.
That's what you think, but I don't know if that's feasible. I don't know if they've looked at it. I just know finding a cabinet woodworker kind of guy has been very, very difficult to find. Finding an auto shop guy, finding those teachers are extremely difficult. But if you could find a good one that could do both schools, that's the point of, or even hey, Monday and Tuesday we have a small shop in Elko, and that same teacher's down Spring Creek on Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know, but those are the kind of things we should be a little more creative if possible, because I still think we have a need. We have supposedly an HVAC program at the Elko High School, but I've never seen a child come out of there working with any of the local plumbing HVAC communities that says, yeah, well, I went to that and I know how to fix your ice machine or your whatever, anywhere from my ovens to my coolers to the true HVAC in the building.
And you're in the restaurant business, so you know.
Yeah, so I have all of that stuff, and I've never seen anyone on it. So I was going to start asking about that this year. But anyway, the point being is I wish we could see more of that.
Yeah, more skilled tradespeople, certainly with the kinds of crafts and abilities that anybody who owns an old house, and we would love to have more people available to us, and those kind of skills are going to be more important too in the future. And I think Great Basin College, I think Dr. Amber Donnelly is very aware of that, and I do think they're trying to enhance the offerings, through the college. But again, their finances are limited. They didn't get the funding formula changed the way they hoped during this legislative session. So got to wait 2 more years.
Right.
Yeah.
We do have some good leaders, so I think we'll
Yes.
go in that direction now.
And I think they're interested in what the community is interested in.
Right.
That's the most important point.
I think it's an underestimated point, actually, of how much more we have some community input and the leaders in place.
Well, thanks for helping make the changes.
Pete Goakachia, he's extremely influential, very intelligent. I still think him where he's at.
Yes, he's a regent.
We'll start getting a little more input, too.
Yes, he is so valuable because as a longtime lawmaker, Pete understands the process, and it is of such value to have him in this position as a regent. It's as though, we have Dorothy Gallagher back. I mean, she was a deal maker for sure, but she did not have the experience as a lawmaker, and certainly Pete Goikachia has that. So that's a bonus. So more to come, I'm sure. Looking forward to that.
I certainly hope so. We have the tools in place.
Yeah, we have a lot of confidence in you, Pete, if this gets back to you. So thank you. And then
the only thing, let's bring up the
please.
tower thing. They got tabled.
Oh, I know. I wasn't
going
to.
The code on that.
Let me read the agenda item just so people understand in case they don't. Right? Or you can explain it.
Well, there's been some confusion.
It's about cell phone towers.
There was a cell phone tower out in. It's not in Lamoille, but out in that direction that we approved.
Was that a few years ago?
A couple of years ago.
Okay.
And there was some grievances on that. No, we still were in the right for putting it there. There's a grievance on a cell phone tower out of the South Fork. And then so we looked at changing some of the ordinances on there. We can still mandate, paint, color, different things, how it looks and everything. But there's some emails going around that we're basically giving up all rights, and Verizon could go put a tower right in the middle of Lamoille Park. That's not true. That's not what we're doing.
What the homeowner's saying is that she's concerned that her input or that of property owners doesn't matter going forward.
And so this will be a lot more detailed in the future. So I don't want to get in too much in the weeds on it, but don't believe that Elko County, we're just washing our hands that no, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T can suddenly go put a Verizon tower once again in the middle of Lamoille Park or right in the middle of South Fork Lake or something. No, we're still going to be involved. But there are some federal laws that the courts have said that no, it's a utility, and they have a lot more rights than people realize because it's a need, and the courts have backed that.
Well, and it's important too to acknowledge whether or not neighbors appreciate it. Property owners also have rights, and the private property owners, the ones that have been consenting to leasing their land essentially, or whether they're selling parcels, John, I'm not pretending to understand, but they're allowing the facilities to be built on their property. So that's also a private property right. And that's...
Well, it really comes down to not in my backyard. Everybody wants 5G and someday 6G or working 4G if we're lucky in some of these areas, but yet I don't want to buy me.
So that's part of.
I want power, but I don't want to by me. I want someone, but not by me.
Yeah, so that's more to come on that. That Elko County Code issue was tabled. There will be more discussion. John Karr is our Elko County Commission Chair. He will come back on the radio to talk more about this too, as it gets, as you said. I think maybe more information is presented.
Correct.
Okay.
I want 100% clearer to the public. As an example, right now today, what's the process for putting in a cell tower, and what if we change anything at all, what would that difference be? And I don't think we explained that very well, which was part of the tabling of this, but also just some legal things in the background going on. So that's why it's tabled till that gets finalized.
All right, John, thank you. And while we're on that topic, it's not on this agenda, obviously, as was discussed Wednesday, but master planning, that's kind of still a big issue for Elko County.
Rex and I were just talking about that. We keep talking about it, and that's just it. We go, so should we have a workshop? Should we just everybody print one off and start making the old red pencil marks on there, and we go over things, or how should we do that? Because it is a big document, and it's a little bit bigger than we think. And I'll call the mayor back a little bit later. So no, we are still looking at that, and Rex and I are both getting a little impatient on that. So it'll the next couple of weeks, because everybody still wants to enjoy summer, and I'm sorry that everybody says no, you're not doing anything. Well, we are, but everybody still wants that last few days because school's starting early. So
Yeah,
summer's
about a month from now.
Summer's ending early. That's just how it is. When school starts in Elko, it changes everything.
Well, and I applaud you and Audrey for wanting to spend time with your son, because they grow up fast, John, and that's what really matters. That's why we're working to make this community a better place, so that our kids, maybe they'll go away to school, but hopefully they'll go to Great Basin College, but start their education or whatever they do. But then we want them to come home and thrive and be happy here. So,
well, time will tell if Braden decides to go to school and then come back and take over the whatever business thing I've built, or he goes, heck no, that's nuts.
I don't want to see what you do.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go be a accountant or something, whatever.
So, John, we have time. I want to, and I'm sure you have heard these rumblings as well. These are rumblings. That's the best way to define it. The big event center, I think, or livestock event center that's being planned for out at Kittredge Canyon, we're hearing rumblings that the facility as designed does not accommodate world-class rodeo. So have you heard that there's some concern about what's being designed?
Let's see, how do I answer that? And I'm not trying to.
And that's okay.
No, I'm
That's
not
why
trying
we
to
ask you.
word salad or jumble it. The Silver State Stampede is heavily involved in the design of this. So no, it is designed for a rodeo and the Silver State Stampede. So no, I probably have to disagree with that. Could this thing be bigger and have elephant races in there? Well, obviously it could be bigger. We could have the stadium the Raiders are in, but so it has been pared back. But no, it's still designed to the Silver State Stampede to be in there and compete in there and actually even be bigger, because they've done a great job this year's Silver State Stampede. Is unfortunately the weather didn't match, but we had the top talent in the nation at our rodeo. Every time this is number 2 in the nation, or it isn't even number 1 or number 4, huge talent. So no, there's no way we're going to now build a place that, oh yeah, you got to be the number, I don't know, 102 and you get to come compete because we're weird shape or doesn't fit. No, that part's not true.
Those rumblings are unfounded.
I think so.
Okay.
We have had it pared back. And I've seen just kind of a sketch of it, and I'm on that committee, and we're supposed to meet in a couple of weeks again to see where it's at. But no, we would really have to ask ourselves, well, why the heck there's debate on even doing it, just because people be for or against. But if we can't even hold a rodeo in an event place we're trying to have a rodeo, then why are we building it? So no, I do not believe that at all.
So this is a county issue. That's why I wanted people to know we're not trying to, take away any thunder from Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeastern Nevada. They're doing amazing work in their expansion, ribbon cutting in Carlin, another one in Battle Mountain. The outreach and the service is incredible. But a livestock event center like you're talking about, Kittredge Canyon, it's the deal with the county, the $15 million, is really reliant on the land, right? So what's the latest on that?
The city everything I've read on that, did their part for that parcel of it. The BLM part, which is more where all the parking would be and more of the expansion of this facility, I haven't seen the legal proof that yes, but they are changing. What was the last they told me? The school district is working with the BLM on how to transfer it in that realm to the Boys and Girls Club. So it is supposedly proceeding. I haven't seen anything it's done, and I haven't seen any roadblocks that it's impossible. So it's still proceeding in that area.
And they're probably just on a timeline because it's got to be happening here, by August, I think, is when they come before the county commission again, right?
There was some in the agreement on that 15 million, some steps that have to be, you have to have made this much progress or this or no. The 15 million and all the interest and everything comes back to us. So yes, they will be presenting to us. Okay.
Anything else to add on that? I guess we'll just look for it on an agenda.
Correct.
Okay. So in the time that we have, you're welcome. We talked about a lot of different things today, John. I just want to make sure people are aware of, there's so many things you're working on. We still have, Elko County has prime Idaho Street property. We're still waiting for some design work and planning for Justice Center or whatever it might be. We've got a jail expansion in the loop, right?
We have a preliminary drawing of the jail expansion. Part of it goes into the floodplain part, so we'd have to add a lot more earthwork done to build it up. So Justin and I were going to go over next week over the preliminary plans on that. I want to be really involved in the HVAC on that because the geothermal there is extremely underutilized. One of the things when we had a boiler go out, and another problem, they were trying to have hot water for the kitchen, the showers and all that. And the other side that they're not even using was actually supersized. So we ended up plugging into that as a makeshift to work and actually worked fantastic. So I want to make sure it's part of the engineering design. I get frustrated with an architect just starts with a clean slate and goes, oh, that's what you need. And they're not truly, in my mind, engineering, well, what's already there and can we use it?
Well, it's the front yard. That geothermal pond with the fountain, I don't know if it's running right now, but that's geothermal discharge. So we should be tapping into it literally, like you said. Well,
sometimes the logical doesn't always. So no, I'm going to be very specific on that very point. Because you think if you said it and it's going to happen, well, let's go the water on the fire station out in Lamoille. One of the 100% things we mentioned was the water system in Lamoille is very poor flow rate and all that. And part of the engineering had to be an underground tank to be able to fill trucks with, because if we started filling a truck during let's say 9 in the morning when everybody's trying to water their lawn and we're filling a truck, no, you wouldn't be able to do it. Well, sure enough, they didn't even have enough water pressure. You barely turn the eye wash station on or whatever and barely even bubble out of there because, no, they didn't put the pump in like we had requested. So every time you think something, no, they got that handled. No, so we're going to review it very, very specifically on the jail expansion.
Well, thanks, John, for the update. And, sticking with all these different projects. Anything that you want to add, though? I think I started out with that and then I tossed my own question in there.
Oh, I know. There's always things to add. I was going to go chew on the city council a bit. I hope they don't. I hope they change their mind on the city hall. I love the front part of that building, and I think it's a mistake to get rid of it. I don't like the 2 double wides in the back. They do need to expand. I think they do need a building, but that front part, I still think it's unique. It's the face of Elko, and I don't want them to get rid of it. So,
don't you think they were going to incorporate it like a Parthenon or something?
Oh, yeah, but that'll be garbage. It'll be never used. No, it'll never be used.
I would use that all the time. I like that. I'm just
kidding. It wouldn't either.
No, I get it,
the most underutilized thing in Elko County, I think, is Drake Basin's little atrium area in there. It's fantastic.
Oh, the college, the amphitheater. I know.
It hardly ever gets used. Well, it's beautiful. That whole campus is beautiful. And when are the students on there? We're never in the summer.
Well, we're working. See, now we get to do more events.
Well, Amber, I think, is going to do that, and she's already trying.
Yes.
But
we need lights and sound for that amphitheater, and that should have been in there originally, and it wasn't. It's like you said.
Once again, who thought of that?
But
it's such a great area.
It's a beautiful area. We need to have nighttime concerts and events and plays and all the activities. So we just need, if anybody's been to the Boise Shakespeare Theater, we just need probably now a couple million, maybe $3 million to outfit it. Maybe that's under. I don't know. Maybe that's undershooting it, but
I don't think I'm writing a check for that right now.
No. But and maybe it's not that much. Maybe it's more. But
yeah, that's an example. But I don't want to see that go. You need to change this little seating in there. The cushions are gone, but that's minor.
You're talking about City Hall.
City Hall, back to City Hall.
Okay.
I actually love that. I really like the looks. It's the look of Elko. It's
an Arnie
picture
Perhonen.
on-
Yeah.
So I'd rather them expand in the back. They deserve some nice offices. And once again, those trailers are falling apart. They were makeshift 20 years ago, so they sure haven't gotten better.
You know what makes me sad is when I first came to Elko, and up until fairly recently, they have all that plexiglass and all the, the little enclosed spaces. It's just sad, but it's for security. I know
Right.
why they have to have it, but it used to be you could walk into City Hall and walk into the city manager's office, and we can't do that anymore. So that's what I don't like about it, I guess. But
Well, welcome to some people aren't
I know. I get
aren't
it.
always good intentions.
I get it. And we don't use both front doors anymore. So changes, yes, we all have to accommodate for changes. And appreciate your being on the program today, John. Thank you. And good luck with the mayor talking about City Hall.
Well, I don't know why he's calling me, but
okay.
But that's just a side note. They've been treating me very well up at Ruby View, and man, the groundskeepers up there.
Yes.
If anybody hasn't been out golfing or kind of whatever, no, you need to go up there. The grounds up there.
Or just go into the
Ruby View
restaurant.
is
Yeah.
well, I'm going to brag about them at the moment.
Yeah.
The golf course looks fantastic right now. I don't know how many times I've went up there and just sat out there with a cup of coffee. It looks beautiful. It's fantastic. My family and I try to golf on Sunday evenings, kind of end of our week, and go and.
That's like your yoga.
It's just it's. They've done a great job on the greens, and everything looks fantastic. I'm not even a hardcore golfer, but it's beautiful up there. They did a great job.
Oh, okay. One more thing, because you reminded me. I am interested then, and I would think listeners would be interested in your opinion on the net, because you do business up there. That's before the city. It'll be before the city council, because the city planning commission rejected any size net, which, honestly, John, you've been around this long enough to know that the Planning Commission really should have taken some action. They really should. They were given a wide open agenda item for that conditional use permit. City staff had signed off. There were no issues. They could have gone anywhere from a 25-foot net up to that objectionable 127 or whatever. And they rejected it. And that was not responsible.
Well, so Sunday, let's just go over my personal experience. Go to the hole that they're talking about.
Is it the fourth?
I don't know. Once again, I'm a mediocre golfer at best. And so I'm about to tee off, and I'm looking. The house right next to it has a net. But there, I don't know, 15, 20-foot net. There it is. And sure enough, I shanked off, and it's very far end of the temples. But nope. And it sure wasn't on purpose. Actually, if I wanted to shoot it on purpose, I know I would have missed. So there's no way it's on purpose. So there is, and big percentage of bad golfers slice the ball to the right. That's just the fact. How big it needs to be and where it needs to be, I'm not the engineer going to pretend to. That first part where you tee off at, well, why would you need a 50-foot screen right there? Because nobody 90-degree slice. But farther down, it's probably necessary. There's going to be some not so lovely people that want to be jerks and truly try to hit the temple with a ball, and there's bad people everywhere. That's unfortunate. I hope they don't do that, but there's a reasonable to this.
Yeah, and it'll come before the council. So thanks, John, for at least chiming in on that. I think it's helpful for people to understand, especially from people who use the golf course and live around the golf course, and what the realities are of trying to be a good neighbor. So,
I mean, even if, I don't know if you have a retractable in the winter so it doesn't collect all the snow or something. I don't know if that's possible or something, but I could see that there's a need on that far back parking area. Once again, I hit there, and I sure wasn't on purpose.
Well,
I didn't luckily break it. I just hit the rocks over there. But
true confessions from John Karr, Elko County Commissioner. Thank you, John, for being on the program. He's our chair of the local governing panel.
all right, thank you, Lord.